Series lead over the Heat last night. While that would have all but guaranteed a Lakers title, LeBron remained confident after the Game 3 loss moving forward. Take a listen.
I know how resilient that bunch is and how resilient their coaching staff is and their franchise. So, I don't ever feel like we went into it and haven't let our guard down and also I don't feel like we're concerned. We're not concerned. We know we can play a lot better. We have another opportunity to take a commanding lead on Tuesday.
Okay, so Shannon, will the Lakers take a commanding lead tomorrow night?
Yes. I've said it before. I don't believe they'll lose another game in this series. And I believe Friday night it'll be over. The Lakers understand that they can't be careless, reckless with the basketball. This team comes out every night. For whatever, the Heat comes out every night believing they belong here. Like, look who we beat to get here. It's not like, everybody just decided not to come and they just threw us in the Eastern Conference. We're the representative. We beat teams to get here. Now, really, Skip, I'll be honest, the only team that I picked them to beat was Indiana. I was like, they're going to beat Indiana. Indiana ain't going to do anything. I was like, nah, they're not going to. I said, I think it'll go 6 games, but I think the Bucks will get them. And then I thought the Celtics would get them, would get Miami once they got past Milwaukee. But watching them play and how they execute in crucial moments, they're going to be a tough out. And I think the Lakers realize that they're a tough out. But the Lakers, as poorly as Skip with 20 turnovers, and as poorly as they shot the ball, and as close as rebounding the margin was, the Lakers still had an opportunity to win this game.
Absolutely.
So many things. Do you believe Jimmy Butler is capable of having another historic night like this? I do not. And without that type of a historic performance, I don't believe they can do it. I know LeBron and AD are capable of going for 60, having 20-plus rebounds, having 20-plus assists. That is what I expect. I expect those role players because when LeBron and AD go off, they seem to gain confidence and the ball seems to go in the hoop more. So I expect them to do exactly what LeBron said, play a lot better and take a commanding lead tomorrow night.
I must admit, I was stunned at how blasé and nonchalant LeBron was after the game. I don't know if his pride was hurt and he wanted to just sort of shrug and almost yawn and say, we got this, because that's how I interpreted what we just saw.
He's the leader, and the leader can't show that he's concerned.
Do you remember what happened down the stretch of game 1? They had been up 32 and they lost a little bit of the lead, and LeBron went crazy yelling at everybody, you can't do that.
Yep.
After the game, he was steamed about it. He was much angrier after game 1, in which they had pulled off a, 77-32 run in the middle of that game. He was much unhappier with that game than he was with this game last night. And I'm like, LeBron, aren't you going to send a message? You got to take this far more seriously?
Well, I think the thing was, Skip, is that he realized how well they played offensively. He knows they didn't play well offensively last night. He knows they can play better. He's saying, if we play our best, they play our best, we crush them by 20. When they play their best and we play our C or D game, this is what happens. So he says, guys, we're not going to panic. We're gonna watch. Ain't no practice now, Skip. It's all film study, shoot around, and get loose, get the blood flowing. That's it. Let's look at this tape. See what we did here. See what we did there. We'll correct these mistakes and we'll do what we do. It's gonna be big. I'm talking about I'm saying like somewhere between 125 and 135. That's what the Lakers scoring tomorrow.
To what?
It's gonna be a whole lot to a few. We beat them by 15.
By 15?
15.
I think you were going for more like 20 or 30.
Nah. I'm saying like, I say, you know what? I'll say 130, 115.
You should, and I believe you will win this game by 25 points.
25?
You're that much better than this shorthanded, undermanned, just outmatched team. They have lost their leading scorer in the playoff. They have lost their leading rebounder, leading assist man, leading shot blocker, and Bam. And I'm pretty sure neither is coming back. I think Bam would have a better chance than Dragic to come back. But
I hope Bam comes back.
I'm going to doubt that.
I hope he comes back.
Because you think they're a much better test for you with Kelly Olynyk or Myers Leonard in the lineup. And I'm laughing at that the very prospect of Kelly Olynyk scares you more than Bam does.
Because Kelly Olynyk, Skip, he caught when Bam got hurt, he came in and got a rhythm. Remember on game 2, he had 24. So he's shooting the three ball well. And so that's what concerns me is that a big, that's why I was never concerned about Portland. You can't play those two bigs. You play into our hands. Now, Houston gave me some concern because they can stretch the floor. But then when we went Marcus, we were still bigger than they were because they had no answer for AD. Now, you got two guys that can stretch the floor, that can shoot threes, that are perfectly fine shooting the threes. And so the difference is that Bam is looking for the pick and roll. He's looking to get to the rim. These other guys are looking pick and roll. They're pick and pop. They'll shoot the three ball on you. So that concerns me.
Fox Bet has dropped the betting line from 9 points down to 7 points.
Okay.
So if you were a betting man, Shannon Sharp, you should get a bunch of this.
Yeah, I want all that. I want all that.
You want all that.
All that.
You could retire off this one game.
Bet it.
Why
Whatever
don't you
got.
just bet the ranch?
Whatever look like my
Bet the palatial estate on it.
Like my grandma say, whatever little piece of money I got, I bet it on the Lakers.
Okay, here we go.
All of it. All right. Will the Eagles win the NFC East
Oh,
the second straight season? What is up with this division? We talk about it next. Had a career game last night to keep the series interesting against LeBron and the Lakers. With Bam Adebayo and Goran Dragic both out due to injury, Butler had a 40-point triple-double in Miami's 115-104 win. LeBron and Anthony Davis only combined for 40 points. Fox Sports NBA analyst Chris Broussard joining us this morning. Chris, it is so good to have you. Here's the thing. Earlier on the show, Skip said this was the biggest upset in NBA Finals history. Do you agree?
Wow. Well, first of all, let me be honest. I generally don't think of individual games in the finals, you know, in terms of biggest upsets, because ultimately, if you don't win the series, it really doesn't matter. I will say this, if the Heat were to win this series, I do think this would be the biggest upset in finals history. But as far as individual games, I cannot give this to the Heat for a few reasons. Number one, the Lakers, this, as great as Jimmy Butler was and the rest of his players, this was more about the Lakers just laying down, just being complacent, overconfident, you know, not executing. They shot more than half of their field goal attempts were three-pointers. I believe that's the first time in history that's ever been the case in a Lakers game. So they weren't playing their game. They got away from themselves, and that's a big part of why the Heat won, because the Lakers took them lightly. Secondly, the Heat didn't have to deal with any type of adversity as far as being on the road and a raucous crowd that's against you. They didn't have to deal with any of that. So I look at two series in particular where I would say individual games were bigger upsets than what we saw last night. I'll go to the 04 Pistons when they upset the Shaq, Kobe, Karl Malone, Gary Payton Lakers. Now, we know that series was a huge upset. They won in 5. But I would say the Pistons winning game 3 and 4 were bigger than last night because they had the Lakers' full attention. Like, they win game 1, the Lakers, okay, everybody was telling them they were going to smack Detroit around, so they take them lightly, they lose. They come back and win game 2. But games 3 and 4, the Lakers were on alert, and the Pistons still beat them. Then I would go to the 2001 Philadelphia 76ers over the Lakers again, Shaq, Kobe. Game 1. Now remember, the Lakers had run through the West. They had swept through the West. Portland, led by Rasheed Wallace. Sacramento, led by Chris Webber at the height of his powers. San Antonio, led by Tim Duncan and David Robinson. The Lakers swept them. They get to the finals. Here come the little Philadelphia 76ers led by Allen Iverson in the Staples Center. Iverson puts 48 on them, and they win game 1. So that would, to me, those three would have been bigger than what we saw last night. I would say last night was more like 1999 when the New York Knicks, the 8th-seeded Knicks, without Patrick Ewing, they got Allen Houston, Latrell Sprewell, Marcus Camby. They win game 3 against the Spurs. The Spurs had won the first 2 games. They weren't worried about the Knicks. They lost game 3, and they win 4 and 5 and ended in 5 games. I thought that's what this was like last night.
Go ahead. You want to go? Go ahead. No, you go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Chris, got big issues with everything you just said. I want to put this in perspective for everyone out there. In game 1 of this series, the Miami Heat lost their leading scorer in the playoffs, Goran Dragic, and they lost Bam, who is their heart and soul player, and he had led them through the playoffs in rebounds and assists and blocking shots. Well, that's so much that you lost from the top of your team that you're left with the Jimmy Butler, who's not a prolific scorer. In the closeout game against Indiana, he scored 6. Along the trail against Milwaukee and then Boston, he had a 13-point game and a 14-point game. He is happy to score little because he's got little to no ego. So for him to have the greatest 40-point triple-double in the history